Welcome to Module 17, Lesson 3. In this lesson, we are going to describe the difference between equilateral isosceles and scalene triangles. In the previous lesson, we classified triangles based on their angles. In this lesson, we're going to classify triangles based on their side lengths. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at problem 2. We can identify and classify triangles by their side lengths. We're going to use the connected vocabulary to help us identify and record an example of each triangle in your classroom. Now, if you're at home or somewhere else, you're going to be looking for something around you. All right, so we're going to start with an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle has 3 sides of equal length. So an equilateral triangle, I feel like, is kind of what we think of when we think of a triangle, right? It's that perfect little pattern block triangle. So some of us, if we're in a classroom, a pattern block might be a good example of a triangle that's equilateral in front of you. But go ahead and look for a triangle that is equilateral. Great. Let's go ahead and do the next one. An isosceles triangle has at least 2 sides of equal length. Again, this is kind of similar to what we think of when we think of a little triangle, right? It has at least 2 sides that are equal length. What might you see there? It could also be facing that direction, kind of like a flag. But we know that at least 2 sides are of equal length. And finally, a scalene triangle is a triangle that has no sides of equal length. All right, so let's take a look at letter B. We need to identify and classify the triangles that are down here. We're going to identify them either as equilateral, isosceles, or scalene triangles. You can use a ruler if you need help to measure. So let's look first at triangle ABC. I can see that the line segment AB and the line segment BC look like they are the same length. However, this side, AC, looks longer. So I know it's not an equilateral triangle, and I know that it has at least 2 sides that are equal. So this is an isosceles triangle. Triangle DEF does not appear to have any sides that are equal. So I know this must be a scalene triangle. Lastly, I'll look at triangle GHI. Triangle GHI looks like every side is equal. So I know this is an equilateral triangle. Now we can mark our sides with little hash marks to show which ones are equal. So in this isosceles line, if I mark these 2 sides with 2 lines, that means that they are equal to each other. I can do the same thing in triangle GHI. Can I mark any sides in triangle DEF? I can't, because that would be saying that those sides are equal to each other. And no sides in this triangle are equal. All right, go ahead and complete the check understanding. Classify each of these triangles as equilateral, isosceles, or scalene. Pause the video and press play when you're ready. All right, let's go ahead and check our work. Number 1 is a scalene triangle. Number 2 is an equilateral triangle. And number 3 is an isosceles triangle. Now I want to ask you a question. For number 2, can I also say this is an isosceles triangle? The answer is yes. This is also isosceles because it has to have at least 2 equal sides. Now, most of the time we're going to still call it an equilateral triangle, but it is also an isosceles triangle.